Hey everyone, it's Gioya, and it has been a long time since we have talked, so I thought maybe we should just catch up. I'm gonna do my makeup for no reason at all because I was going to film this yesterday. Actually, okay, I was gonna film this like 2 weeks ago, and I was not prepared at all. I was like unorganized, not thinking straight. Okay, I swear I had a list of like all the things I wanted to talk about. So I'm doing it today. I just thought that this would be less awkward because then I know what to do with my hands and I don't know what to do with them right now. So take a seat, grab a tea, grab a coffee, let's just chat. Let's chat for a while. Maybe I should get a drink too. Okay, hold on. Part one, where the heck have I been? The last time that we talked, it was October 2020, which is when I bought all of my sewing supplies and I said like, I'm gonna start sewing, I'm gonna start doing a French series on YouTube, and clearly that hasn't happened. So to give you some context, I was in Dallas. Ben was living in France at the time and he had just got a job over there. We were like, what are we gonna do, right? We didn't have a plan, we didn't know how to make one when everything was so uncertain. I started to think to myself, what if I looked for a job in France? What if I just moved there? You know, I studied French in high school and then I studied it in college. I went on a study abroad in Rome a whole semester, and it was during that semester that I visited Paris for the first time. That's when I kind of realized like, okay, I really want to be at a level of French that is conversational, right? I studied abroad again for a summer in Lyon. I really improved my French there. And it was then that I knew for sure I wanted to come back. I wanted to live and work in France, but it was kind of like a faraway dream and I had no plan, but I thought maybe someday I could do it. Fast forward, we're in October 2020, and this is when I started thinking seriously for the first time, maybe I should consider leaving Dallas. And I'd always known that I wasn't going to stay in Dallas forever. I just didn't know how long it was going to be until I left. And honestly, it was really difficult because I had a very comfy job. I was saving a lot of money, putting a lot of money towards my student debt. I had a good social life. You know, there's a lot of things that felt very comfortable. And while being comfortable can be a good thing, for me, it was, I felt like stuck, you know? I felt like, is this gonna be my life forever? I think that was difficult for me because I also struggled a lot with the idea of realistic versus a dream, right? Like, should I really be complaining when I have everything I could need, right? Or should I really be wanting more? Is the fact that I'm not 100% content with that, is that a me problem, right? I mean, part of it probably was, but at the same time, I just knew like, I had lived in Dallas for years at that point. Do I really want to be here for another 5 years? Okay, that's the context. That was kind of long. And so now I'm going to put on the NARS liquid blush. I'm going to try one side with my fingers and then the other side with I'm going to try the other side with a brush. I'm trying to like keep up with the times, you know? Like dewy, glowy skin is really in, and like I'm so used to matte foundations, matte everything. I spent Thanksgiving with Cora. Then I went on a massive sewing frenzy. I was just sewing like a mad woman for a whole month straight because I was determined to do a majority of all my presents handmade. And I honestly made a lot of really cool things, but I completely burnt myself out. So it's the new year and I'm ready to tackle challenges and, you know, all that bullshit. And I started heavily quarantining to go to France in February, and when I got there, Ben and I just really spent a lot of time together. We like went out to Deauville, just to be away from his parents because his parents, we just didn't want to put them at any risk with the fact that I traveled a bunch. So we got an Airbnb out in Deauville and we just really spent a lot of time together. Like we didn't do very much, so barely anything vlog worthy there. But I was there for like a week. And I came back. I started making some progress on the dress, but not very much. And I think it was around this time that Cora and her coworkers started reading like novels for fun. And I was just tired of reading self-help books. I was just like, I have read enough self-help books. I do not want anyone to tell me what to do. I don't want to read another book telling me how to have a better life. I just want to enjoy reading again. Because when I was in middle school, I used to just read like for fun, And in high school, I just stopped doing that because I didn't have the time, and it was something that I really enjoyed. And so I picked up the book Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi, and I absolutely loved it. It's such a cute book, and it just made me fall back in love with reading novels again. And I think I read like 7 books in 2021, which I know it's not a lot, but it's a lot more than I thought that I would read. It was so nice to reconnect to that part of me that I had just kind of forgotten, you know? There are all these parts of us that we just kind of like ignore sometimes. I don't really want to do eyeshadow, but I feel like I should try something. I should have done the concealer first, and I forgot. I really should get an eyeshadow primer, but I just don't want to spend any more money on makeup. I'm still learning how to shape my eyes the way that I want to. And I want to be a little bit less like I only do my eyeshadow and my foundation and everything one way. Okay, I feel like this is way too cool of a brown for the makeup look that I'm going for, but whatever, we're gonna roll with it. So at this time, Ben had also had a trip planned to the US in the summer because we had thought that the borders were gonna open by summer 2021. I started to have interviews also in the spring, and none of them ended up in offers. It was just like, it was good practice, but it was just discouraging. I felt like I was applying to jobs below my experience level, and I wasn't getting second interviews, or I wasn't getting third interviews, or whatever it was. They just weren't leading to offers. I was like, maybe it's not gonna happen the way that I want it to. Maybe I just need to start looking at schools, and maybe I need to wait another year. But when I visited France in July, I just felt this overwhelming feeling of like, this is what I want. We actually did like really a lot of things in July. Like we went to an Isolde concert. We went down to Lyon, and Ben had never been. So it was kind of fun because like I got to be the tour guide. I think we went to a few museums. I don't even remember, to be honest, at this point. It's been so long. We came back up to Paris, and then the week was basically over at that point. I was interviewing with a company, and I was really making it far in the interviews. And finally, I got the news that I got the job. So let's take a makeup break. And let's do my eyebrows really quickly. Sorry, I'm gonna do it like looking up at this light just because the lighting is like so much better. I try to do like mostly straight on the brow, and both my eyebrows are just ever so slightly different, and they never turn out exactly the way that I want them to. So at this point, it was just the mad rush to get to France. I had one trip to San Diego, and we went up to LA to visit some friends, and then we went back down to San Diego to hang out with my family. I had my visa appointment in Houston. I needed to drive from Dallas down to Houston for one night, and I needed to turn in all this paperwork and request my visa at that point. And the next day I got back. I think during that week I turned in my 2 weeks notice. And I started throwing away a bunch of my stuff because I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of space in France. I was going to have a lot less space than I did in Dallas. So I just started donating a bunch of my stuff. And thank God for Cora, because if she was not there, I would not have packed my car. She cleaned out the entire apartment by herself, basically. We handled together a lot of the lease break while I was there, but obviously there are things that come up after the fact, and she just handled all of that, and like literally I would not have been able to do this without her, so thank freaking God for her. And then Jenny flew out. She drove with me out to San Diego for like 3 days. I don't mind driving, but I'm not like one of those people that goes on night drives and like enjoys being behind the wheel. I just feel like if I can avoid it, why am I gonna drive, you know? Somebody else can drive, that's fine. So I thought I was gonna hate the road trip, but actually it was pretty fun, and it was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be, and thank God for Jenny. I don't know what I would have done without those two, honestly. Like, thank you, Jenny and Cora, for being the homies for real. And I spent a week with my family, and then I was off to France. I feel like that's everything in terms of where I've been. Okay, let's move on to the next makeup thing. I think I'm just gonna do my lashes. I have to like really work to curl my lashes because they're extremely straight and they point like straight down. Wow, this is like the best that my left lashes have turned out in a while. I like messed up my left lashes back in college one time because I put on a strip lash and I used individual glue lash, I think. I didn't know that individual lashes and individual lash glue was made to be like at-home extensions. So that shit was not coming off. And I had to like rip out the strip lash and it ripped off a bunch of my lashes on my left eye. So I think we finally gotten to a point where they're growing back, which is quite nice. So we're at part 2 of this video, which is what have I been doing since I've been here. So I didn't really want to vlog a lot of the process just because I just wanted to absorb it. I didn't want to pull out my camera all the time. I anticipated it being difficult, and honestly it wasn't as difficult as I thought. But I just wanted to be able to go through that without vlogging it. I didn't want to, even though I know moving vlogs are really interesting, not just across the continent, when they're to a different continent, I know that that is really interesting. But I just didn't feel like vlogging. I just didn't feel like it, so I didn't. We moved into the apartment, which was a shock when I first saw it. It is very small, but I think that I'm so accustomed to it now that it feels normal. It is just crazy, the housing market in Paris, but that's a different subject. I got here on October 1st and my work started October 4th. We had a weekend basically to move into the apartment, make sure that everything was in order, and make sure that I was prepared to start my job. I don't want to talk too much about my job right now because I'm technically still in the trial period, and I think that's a totally different video than this one. So anyways, we've done a few other things, like we went to a PSG game, which was really fun. We went to Fontaine, where one of our friends' families lives, and we went to Musée d'Orsay together, which I haven't done since 2016, and I just forgot how cool of a museum that is. I've been here already for 3 months, which is how long my temporary visa was, and I'm still waiting to get my carte de séjour. So I couldn't leave for the holidays, so I spent Christmas and New Year's here with Ben's family, and we spent New Year's together, just the two of us. I watched Emily in Paris season 2, of course, and I think like the move happened so quickly that I didn't process a lot of the change, or I didn't know I was processing it, is what I should say. I think what I didn't realize was, even though I wanted this so bad, there's a lot of things that I took for granted, right, in Dallas. Like I said, I was comfortable. There was a lot of things that were just happening for me. I wasn't making an active decision, but it was going well, you know? Like, for example, my social life. Like, it wasn't like I needed to go out and search for friends. I just had friends. And not that I took it for granted, but in Paris, it's much more difficult to make friends here. Like, people don't just come up to you on the street and start talking to you here, you know? Like, that's just not normal. I just think that that was something that I didn't really, like, think was gonna be that difficult because I already had friends in the US that were French. And I thought, like, oh, it's gonna be so easy. Like, I'm just gonna hang out with them all the time. But, you know, everybody's life is different. And I think part of that is just because friendship in adulthood is a lot more intentional. It's much more difficult because in college and in high school, you're all taking the same classes, you're going to the same competitions, and you're forced to see these people 5 out of 7 days a week, and you're all going through something similar. And that's just not the case. So that was something that I think that I processed and I wanted to go through. I just didn't feel like putting that on camera, you know? Okay, so that's a good place to break for part 3. I'm gonna just do my lips really quickly. I wanna try to do like a 90s lip, like with a dark lip liner and a gloss. I'm not really a huge fan of like overlining my lips. Maybe it's just because I don't know how to do it in a way that looks good. The lip liner did not stay where I thought it was gonna stay, so whatever, we're just gonna go with it. Okay, so now that the makeup look is done, this is the final look. I feel like, is it missing something? Maybe a setting spray? Let me do a dewy setting spray here. All right, this is good. It's like a metaphor for like setting intentions, right? Which is like pseudo deep, which is exactly what I'm going for. Part 3, what's to come? What do I want to do? I think what I've realized in the past few months, just rereading some of my old journal entries and thinking back on like, why did I want to leave Dallas and why did I want to come here? I want to be the main character. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by I want to be the main character? I want to make active decisions in my life, and I want to do the things that I love. When I was younger and I wanted to be a fashion designer, I visited Parsons in high school, and I decided then that I wasn't creative enough. That's what I told myself. And it's just such a shame because I was so young and no one else was telling me I could or couldn't do it. It was just me convincing myself out of doing something that I loved just because maybe I wouldn't succeed at the highest level, right? But that doesn't mean that I won't enjoy it. Hey guys, I'm just popping in to add a little bit of nuance to this part of the video because I feel like I'm being a little bit unfair to the younger me. When I was growing up, I didn't have a lot of money, and I knew that the fashion industry was so competitive and cutthroat, and it just felt like there was a very small pool of people who were really successful financially in that field. And growing up, I felt like that was important. If I was going to go to college, I wanted to be able to be independent afterwards. And so when I went to college, I chose a major that I was interested in, and that I felt like would open doors for me in the future in multiple fields, no matter what I decided to go into. And honestly, it has done that. I was able to get a job right out of college. I was able to get multiple promotions within that company. I was able to save up money and pay down my student debt, and I was able to save up money for my move to France. I paid for that myself, and also to be able to get a job in France. This degree also allowed me to do that. So yeah, there's a part of me that's a little bit sad that I didn't explore that creative side of me and commit to it. But there's the other side of me that recognizes that maybe if I had gone for that and I was 100% thrown into my dream career, that maybe I wouldn't be financially stable, and maybe I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing now, right? It's one of those things we'll never know, so there's no point in really ruminating or overthinking it, but I'm grateful that I'm in a place where I now can see it as something that I want to do and that I will enjoy. So yeah, anyways, back to the video. And when I started reading again, I realized like I have been ignoring this because I didn't think it was productive. I didn't think it was a good use of my time to read novels, but it brought me so much happiness. So I'm just determined to bring that energy into 2022. I'm determined to read more books, to go to dance class, to go to yoga class, to make YouTube videos and to edit them. And I've started knitting because I don't have space for a sewing machine in this apartment, but I've started knitting again, which is something I did back in elementary school. And I haven't touched it since then, but I've been enjoying it. I have realized it's worth it to invest in my creative hobbies. Okay, this is cliche, but there's no right time to start them. Just start them and continue doing them, continue practicing them. I just wanted to give a reminder that if there's someone out there who needs it, it's okay to be bad at them. It's okay to not do that hobby professionally. It's okay to just do it for fun. In bigger terms, in terms of like your life and if there's a path for you and knowing if it's right or wrong, I think it's just we're so bad with uncertainty that we just want to know that everything's going to turn out okay. But the truth is, you never know what's going to happen in the future, and what you do have is now. And I think that's just what I realized going through this process. Anyways, so that's kind of the end of the video. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I do plan on doing some more vlogs. And bien sûr, on va parler en français. C'est sûr que je dois pratiquer. C'est pour ça que je suis venue ici, et je sais que j'ai dit qu'on va faire une série de vidéos en français et tout. Je dois repenser la série de vidéos, mais je suis sûre que je veux faire quelque chose en français sur YouTube parce que c'est une de mes passions. So thanks for sitting down with me and catching up. It's been nice to talk to you guys again. It's been a while, so thanks for sticking around if you've gotten to the end of the video. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.